Welcome to STEM NOLA. My name is Dr. Calvin Mackey, and I'm happy to have you all tuning in. As a little background, we founded STEM NOLA 7 years ago to expose and inspire and engage communities in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. In the last 7 years, we've engaged over 50,000 K-12 students, over 12,000 families, and over 1,500 college students and STEM professionals. One thing that I'm proud to say is that we've put over $1 million in the hands of college students over the last 7 years serving as college interns with STEM NOLA, going out and engaging the community. So thank you for tuning in. Parents, thank you for believing in STEM NOLA and trusting us with your most prized possession, your child, your scholar. STEM NOLA believe that either we're training ourselves from the neck up or the neck down. In the 21st century, our children will only have one or three options. Either they're gonna take something, break something, and/or make something. And if we don't give them the skills and education to make something, like make a living, make a life, make a difference, it only leaves them with the two options that we see on the news every night, and that's to take and break. I don't want that for my two children, and I know you don't want that for yours, and that's why we're here today to expose our children to the possibilities of the 21st century. This is my friend. This is Alpha. Alpha is a humanoid. A humanoid is a robot that tries to act like a human. This humanoid has 9 servos and can do pretty much anything physically that a human can do. This is our competitor in the 21st century. Alpha can actually do push-ups. Alpha can even show off. And Alpha can even dance. And like any superhero, Alpha has her own music. This is the machine. And the automatic machine in the 21st century will displace many workers. In the aftermath of COVID, you have to believe that there are many companies out there saying never again will we allow a pandemic or something that happened in nature shut us down. So COVID has exacerbated the possibilities of machines displacing people. If you're competing against Alpha, you will not win. The only way we defeat Alpha is by developing our heart and developing our head, training ourselves from the neck up such that we can control the robots so that the robots will not control us. That's why we're here. That's why STEM NOLA exists. That's why your parents want to make sure that you all participate in events like this so you can know the possibilities of the 21st century. Again, I'm Dr. Calvin Mackey, and I want to say thank you for tuning in. Now let's get busy innovating, creating, and making with STEM NOLA. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mackey. So as you see, we are going to get into the science today, and I hope you guys are excited. Oh, there we go. All right, for today's agenda, we have vocabulary terms. We're going to go over some vocabulary terms, our objectives, activity questions. Then we're going to hop into our activities. We're going to be making edible karyotype and plants can breathe. We're going to do an experiment based on that. And then a few questions that we have before. We're going to answer those and any questions you have. All right. So in today's theme, biology, our vocabulary is DNA, a self-replicating material that is present in nearly all living organisms, and it is the carrier of genetic information. Photosynthesis, the process in which green plants use sunlight to make their own food. Transpiration, the evaporation of water from plants, especially leaves. And genome, the complete set of genes or genetic material present in a cell or organism. So we want to keep those vocabulary in mind today as we tackle our objectives. Today, you will understand the meaning in the terms DNA, photosynthesis, transpiration, and genome, then apply them to the projects correctly. You will also learn how to build an edible karyotype. All right, so here are the questions you want to keep in mind while we're doing today's activities. First, a karyotype is a collection of a person's what? right? What is the name of the process that allows plants to make their own food? And humans take air in through their lungs. What do plants take air from? All right. So we're going to keep those in the back of our head as we build our edible karyotype. All right. So for this, you'll need gummy worms, at least 46 gummy worms, and a sheet of paper and icing, or anything that resembles icing, maybe peanut butter, something close to icing. And while you go to grab those materials, I'm going to read the science behind our karyotype. A karyotype is an individual's collection of chromosomes. The term also refers to a laboratory technique that produces an image of an individual's chromosomes. The karyotype is used to look for abnormal numbers and structures of the chromosomes. So what is a chromosome? Your chromosome, it's built of DNA and proteins within your body. So we've all seen a strand of DNA. It kind of looks like a twisted ladder, right? And that's made of, can I pronounce nucleic acids? Yes, wasn't coming to me, yes. So nucleic acids, and with that in the proteins is gonna build our string of chromosomes. And they kind of look like gummy worms. In 2003, scientists finished a really big project. It was known as the Human Genome Project. This project allowed us to complete code the entire human genome. The human genome is the entire DNA sequence of the human body, right? So we have DNA everywhere and it gives us our features, right? And so the entire set of those different sets of DNA are our genome. All right, so we are going to begin. Hope you have your sheet of paper. I'm going to take out my sheet of paper. And you'll need a marker because we're going to label our paper 1 through 23. There are 23 chromosome pairs. Each human has 23 chromosome pairs. All right, so we are going to label our sheets 1 through 23. We're going to space it out. 1, 2. Okay. 2. I want to space it out because we need space for our gummy worms. All right. All right. So 1 through 23, 23 different pairs of chromosomes. And next, you'll need your gummy worms. And remember, it's a pair. So you're going to take your icing or whatever sticky substance you found. We're going to stick them on our page 2 at a time in our little chromosomes. All right. Okay. Right, and our chromosomes have DNA in them, and this is determining what we look like. Everybody's is different. Nobody's is the same. Nobody on the planet is the same, and that's what makes us all different. And that's very cool, I think. So 2 at a time. All right, so we have 3, and then from 3 chromosomes, our body knows, okay, now we have a human. And then you begin to grow into a human. Isn't that really cool? Biology. All right. Right, so just like all of these gummy worms are different, so are our pairs of chromosomes. Each looks different, but together they give us features and traits and whatever you can think of that comes from DNA, the features and your traits. All right. Right. Each one pair of, okay, so you have a pair of chromosomes. One comes from your father and one comes from your mother. And then together the DNA combined, and that's what gives you your traits. So each, let's say the lefts are your father's and the rights are your mother's. And that is every pair of chromosomes. Every pair. And 23. 23 different pairs. Right? So let's say, for instance, well, each trait has a different, you have the dominant traits and you have the recessive traits. The dominant means that they'll show up more prominent or they'll show up more often, right? So maybe your sister has blue eyes, but you have green eyes or brown eyes, right? But say your brother also has what your sister has. Those traits would have been the dominant traits. They pop up more frequently, right? So that is all based on how these chromosomes come together and what pattern the DNA, how the DNA is structured and whatever pattern that is. All right. So we are almost complete. We almost have a complete set of chromosomes. How are y'all coming along out there? Y'all doing good? You give me a thumbs up. You get a thumbs up? All right. Hope we on the same time. This is kind of tedious. Yes, almost. If our chromosomes actually look like this, I think it would be cool. But of course, they don't technically look like gummy worms, but we want to think that they do, right? Because who doesn't want their chromosomes to look like gummy worms? All right. This is all technically seen under a microscope. So imagine this, but very, 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 very tiny. And they're compacted into our cells, right? And that's what builds our cells. These are very, very, very tiny. All right, almost complete. And I hope y'all were keeping those questions in mind from before, because we're going to answer those after we do our experiments. So if you try to remember what those questions were. All right. Our karyotype is almost complete. We have one more. All right, and then we have a complete karyotype set, 23 pairs of chromosomes, and all of them are different. Okay, so that was fun. Maybe we'll eat it later, but that was fun. So now we're going to clean this up, clean our area, and we're going to move on to our second activity, which is plants can breathe. So let's clean our area, and we're going to move on to our next activity. I'm going to read the science behind plants can breathe. As a leaf creates that energy, it needs to get rid of items no longer needed. So it will expel both the extra oxygen during photosynthesis. Does it have to be fresh leaves? Well, it is pretty hard to find fresh leaves. It's fall now. So
we are in New Orleans.
Yes. The experience, right? We are in New Orleans. So try to find a fresh leaf. It won't work as well with a dead leaf because they're gonna breathe apparently. So they need to be alive. We need a live leaf. All right. So during photosynthesis, along with water, the release of water from a plant is called transpiration. I'm gonna say that again because that was one of the questions. The release of water from a plant is called transpiration. The process of photosynthesis is what allows us to see bubbles as the leaf releases its extra oxygen while submerged. The oxygen can be seen as bubbles in the water. Since oxygen is lighter than water, the bubbles will eventually rise to the surface. A plant, tree, or leaf doesn't have any lungs or respiratory system, but it's a living organism, just like we are. It takes its air through its stomata. So we have lungs and plants have a stomata, and that's how they breathe. All right. So I hope you all grabbed a fresh leaf, a bowl, and water. And all you're gonna do is put a leaf in a bowl, and we're gonna cover it in water. And we're gonna see how this leaf is going to breathe. All right. All right, so let's wait and see how our leaf releases its oxygen, right? So humans breathe in oxygen and we exhale carbon dioxide as our respiratory system. But leaves and plants take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen, right? So that is why we see our bubbles. I had a little brain pause, but yes. So let's see how our plant releases its oxygen into the water. Do we see any bubbles? Also, the plant's respiratory system, we refer to that as photosynthesis. The process in which a plant breathes is called photosynthesis. All right. I can see little tiny bubbles coming about. They're gonna start at the stem because that's where the plant receives all of its nutrients. It's from the stem, correct? So that's where the oxygen is going to come out from, okay? Let's see if we add some more leaves, if these might start breathing quickly. This one's kind of holding its breath on us. All right. Also, if you have a rock or a pebble, you can hold the leaf down in the water so that it's fully submerged. Because right now my leaves are floating. So I'm gonna have to hold them down somehow. Right? When found this quarter, we're going to use the quarter to just hold it down in the water. Let it breathe. When humans are in water, when humans try to breathe in water, what happens? What is formed? Can anybody answer that question? When humans try to breathe in water, what is formed? As George Washington is chilling in there. I hope y'all said bubbles, because humans, when we try to breathe in water, we form bubbles, just like this leaf is going to be producing bubbles when it tries to breathe underwater, right? So living organisms are quite similar. A lot of synchronicities. Okay, I just see tiny little bubbles on this leaf. So there you go, they're starting to breathe. If they're gonna keep growing, the longer they're submerged, and the bubbles will float to the top because oxygen is lighter than water. So the bubbles will float to the top. All right. Or the leaves will float to the top, either first. Okay, guys. So that was today's experiment. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's activities and have any questions? I want you to ask your questions. This is the time you have any questions for me. But otherwise, happy holidays, and I hope y'all enjoy your break. Bye, guys.